computer. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for dropping by. I'm seeing quite a number of viewers. Thank you so much for dropping by. We will start in a short while. Okay, so I think we can start now. I'm seeing quite a number of viewers. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much. Good evening once again, everyone. Tonight's talk is a continuation or the second part of the first session about domestic violence. We will go wide about getting to know your legal rights if you are a domestic violence victim. Welcome to Point of View series. Tonight is specifically about a voice of the community. Tonight is our 55th episode. And my name is Jacqueline Joannis. I'm a corporate trainer and an image consultant and a social enterprise advocate. And Omar?
Yes, hi everybody. Welcome back if you've been following us. Otherwise, welcome to the show. Yeah, my name is Omar and I call myself a conversation coach. What I do is I help people develop confidence to speak up and also to help them articulate their ideas better. Yeah.
Thank you, Omar. And we both are the hosts for tonight's session. So, and tonight's special, as you can see on your screen, we have our guest speakers. And here with us, we are honored to have Madam Ruth Evangeline and Miss Vicky Alahakone. Thank you very much for being with us and spending your precious Monday night with us here at Point of View series. So without further ado, let's get to know about both of you, your professional background. Perhaps let's start with Miss Vicky.
Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, Omar. Good evening. I am a family lawyer. I practice family law and I have been involved with several cases where domestic violence is involved. I have worked with the Women's Aid Organization, with AWAM, and most of these NGOs are out there to protect victims of domestic violence. And this show has actually helped several women and men who have actually come back with feedback. And the purpose of my being here is basically to reach out to the public so that whoever is a victim of domestic violence would know what he or she has to do so that we can eradicate domestic violence. Yeah? And I would like to elaborate as much as I can on what a victim should do if they are subjected to domestic violence.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I totally feel honored or trusted when after our first session, we received quite a number of PM, personal messages from victims. And we also lucky because we have our experts here, which is who is Miss Vicky, and because of that, we feel that we should continue the session as per the topic tonight. And to continue on, perhaps let's have Madam Ruth to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm a mom. I'm also a holistic trainer. So I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And I have some experience. I've also guided some of them to their freedom, to use the law, to get them, to set them free, to get their freedom. So there are laws outside there we can use. So we are here to actually bring awareness and educate those who are lost and don't know, need to be educated, so that this can help all of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Such a meaningful intention. Yeah. So to continue on, before I pass it over to Omar, I'd like to acknowledge our viewers. Thank you so much for your continuous support. Those of you here tonight, you are invited to be part of the session by asking questions. You can also share your opinion around the topics for tonight. So to continue on, Omar.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge both the ladies. I think Vicky, you're doing such a noble job, helping victims of domestic violence, and it's such a trauma and such a sad incident that is hardly talked about, And I want to thank, or we would like to thank Ruth, for being so generous in sharing her experience. And Ruth, if it hasn't been for you, people wouldn't have, I think people wouldn't have been able to relate and come out from the woodwork. We had people from far away just texting us, asking for help. So thank you for that. Yeah, in the last episode, what happened was that Ruth shared a lot of her personal stories. And what we like to do here is to perhaps revisit a little bit of some of the things that she did, or the experiences she went through, and have Vicky help us understand what are the proper legal ways that, proper legal avenues that people have that they can take, right? So Ruth, I remember you were talking about how you had to pluck up the courage to leave your home, because it was such a I don't even have the words for it. It's not just trauma, but confusion, just total unhappiness. But over time, you finally had the courage to leave the house. So could you just help us understand again, at that point that you left the house, what exactly did you do? Because I think a lot of people could be in that situation right now, just wanting to leave the house and trying to figure out what can they do, right? So perhaps you can share with us what you did first, and then we'll go to Vicky and understand what's the proper way to do things. Yeah.
Sure. Well, it took a lot for me actually to decide to leave actually, and I can understand those out there who really cannot leave. We can understand that, but you need to leave, otherwise your life is in danger, your children's life is in danger if you keep staying in a violent, abusive environment. Yeah. So what I did was I thought of my kids and I thought about my future. The reason why I wanted to leave is not because I have very little information of his outside life. So I don't know much of his outside life. I just know him as my ex-husband. So I just wanted to get out because I really had enough. My emotional, how to say, I was really falling into depression, very deep depression, where it was bringing risk to my health, and I had suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, and completely being restricted from the public, from my family members and stuff like that. So it was it is more to mental and emotional abuse, So I had to leave because of that. So when I left, I came to know a lot of things about him. And so when I left, I went to WAO, Women's Aid Organization, and they really helped me because when I left the house, I wasn't in a right state of mind because yes, I wanted to leave, but then I needed someone to reassure my decision, So I wouldn't say WAO made me decide, assured me of my decision, but it was me that actually went back to my journey of my marriage with him and how my kids are going to live in that kind of environment, and how I will not be you know, happy, and a lot of things not going to be done, you know, for this marriage. So that's what actually made me to actually want to move forward and just leave, you see. Later part, I was, you know, being young, you are very gullible and you really don't know what is out there. I don't even know Sunping Flag is a very dangerous place to live. I don't even know Sentul is a dangerous place to live. I am from Sentul. So, you know, it's very, very innocent and gullible, you know. So people have to tell me, this place or such, and you need to go and get and find out from Bukit Aman if there's a record on him, because most of them from there, I wouldn't say everyone, majority of those that are living there are all drug dealers, so I was reluctant. I said, no way, no way, this will happen to me. I am too good for all this stuff to happen to me. So my godfather actually took me, let's go and just check and see whether if there's any record. You won't believe it. There's record of possession and also consuming. So I was wondering, suddenly I thought, who did I marry? Who is this guy that I don't know this person. There's two lives. One is the outside life, and the other one is I live with his mom, a good boy that he portrayed to his mom, and a good husband that he portrayed to me, not very good actually. So he had two lives, Then I started to recall that, yeah, he don't allow me to open the booth, and there's calls coming in. There was one I tried to call back the number from his phone when he was having a shower. I accidentally called his cousin. So I thought maybe that's the number, So stupid and so naive and so gullible, so silly, So really, and I'm not the type of person who check phones and being suspicious and stuff like that. I've never been like that. So I was just like, stop it, Ruth. This is not you. Just stop it. So I left the house because I was being abused. I didn't leave the house because he took drugs. He was selling drugs, and he was what do you call that? Also having affairs after affairs. So as months goes by, his girlfriend started calling me. I received calls from his girlfriend. I didn't want to believe. I said, yeah, okay, it's all right. I'm not interested in that because I've decided to leave. But then his girlfriend started calling me. They fought, so the girlfriend decided to call me to tell me that they fought and he's having another affair. So I said, it is your problem. It's not my problem. You all decide to do this. I am the rightful wife. You guys decide to play at the back of me. So you can go and deal with it. Yeah. So stuff like that happened in my life. So I just want you all to know that sometimes you don't know who you marry. This is called blind. Love is not blind. Please don't be blinded. That's all.
And the point that you left, Ruth, how did it happen? What did you do? You just took your kids and then just left the house, and where did you go?
Okay, that's the question. All right. Yeah. I went to WAO. Divorce or just separate for a while, So I said just a temporary separation because I have no intention to divorce him. I was still in love with him because you get married. We were married only once. You get married and you our parents got along. They went through this thing, they were fighting, they whacked each other and they got along. They are still alive together now. So I had that perspective of we have to stay and suffer in the marriage and stuff like that. So I left because maybe, you know, he might change. He might come and run, rescue me. I still love you and stuff like that. And, you know, get back his senses, you know. So little did I know, when I got other info, when I did other investigations, I decided, no, this is not what I want.
Okay. How did you find out about the Women's AIDS organization?
My godfather is a counselor. He's a qualified counselor for befrienders. I think he's also one of the, I can't remember. I remember he told me he's holding a good position there in befrienders.
Yeah.
And he has gone for counseling and stuff like that. So he told me that I need to, you know, call them, consider if, just call, do some read up about them, and find out what it's all about, you know. So you don't have to divorce your husband. You know, you just can go there by your own will for a separation if you want, you know.
Yeah.
So I've got a help from my friend, and which later on they said that I ran away with a man, you know. So
Yeah. So Vicky, let me turn to you and ask you, what would be the best recourse for a victim? What would be the thing that a domestic violence victim could do?
You see, the first thing a victim should actually remember is that you cannot blame yourself if you are a victim of domestic violence. And if you do decide to take action, you should not be afraid or even consider it a stigma. Many women actually, to take that first step of taking action against the perpetrator is the biggest step. That action of leaving the home, that act of going to the police station to lodge a police report, that is always the biggest challenge.
Yeah, it was obvious from Ruth, we could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, you also think of the consequences on the family.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where a victim should understand that staying on in a violent situation is certainly not the answer. They have to take that step of changing things in their lives, okay? And the police report is the first thing one should do. And if you're afraid of going to the police station, get a friend to accompany you. If not, you can always get the help of a lawyer to accompany you, or even the social workers from the NGOs. They will accompany you to lodge the police reports, all right? Or just get a friend. But the important thing is, when you go to the police station, there are a few things that a victim must remember. In the police report that you make, this is very crucial, you must actually specify what the violence is, whether that person actually abused you, threatened to abuse you, physically assaulted you, or attacked you with something, all right? Or sometimes they will even threaten to hurt someone you love, like your parents, your child, and that is also abuse. And very often you find that the perpetrators will threaten to even hurt your parents who are old.
Yeah.
And then to protect them, you stay on. To protect your child, you stay on. So these things should be curtailed, should be stopped. So when you go and lodge your police report, you must specifically state what the abuse is. And then you must also state where the abuse took place, all right? So that when it took place, you must specify the date, the time. You have to be specific in your police report,
Right.
all right? You cannot be very generic about it simply because the police are going to prosecute the abuser, right?
Yeah.
So in the charge, they are going to say, all right, on such and such a date, you did this, you know? So they're going to frame a charge against the person. So it is very important that your police report specifies the actual abuse, the date when it happened, or even so many days. If it happened over a period of days, state so, okay? And then you also say that this was done on me, on my child, on my parents, and this is exactly what that person did. He picked up a chair, he tried to hit my head, he shoved me against a wall, or he pulled my hair and pushed me against the wall, push me down the stairs. You have to specify it. And you also specify where it took place, in the bedroom, in the living room, where maybe your son witnessed it or your daughter witnessed it. So these details must be put in the police report. The more specific you are, the better, simply because the police need all the details to see if you're lying or not. Because for the police to take action, they are not going to take action immediately. You must remember this, because they are going to collect the evidence and they are going to write to the AG's office, the DPP. And it is the DPP who decides whether there is sufficient information in your police report to charge the perpetrator. So the police report is a very crucial thing. Now, apart from that, it is not necessary, but if you're physically hurt, then the next step is to go to the hospital. Now, do not go to private hospitals, because private hospitals, they do not want to get involved in such cases. So the victim must admit himself or herself in a government hospital, all right? And that medical report is also important to back up your police report. But the medical reports are basically only for physical injuries, not so much for emotional or threats or anything like that. But with a police report, as long as your police report is in detail, specified, then the police can help you. So what happens next is, if you have the avenue to get the advice of a lawyer, the lawyer can actually apply for, these are the things I wanted to explain. There are 3 types. The EPO, which has just come about. This is an emergency protection order, all right? This is something that we have just amended the act to include. Now, this is in cases of urgent need, where the person is in real danger, and the person needs protection immediately, all right? Now, in these cases, you don't even need a police report. You can actually go straight to the kebajikan. You go straight to the social welfare officer of your district, see the person in charge, and tell the person, I need an emergency protection order. Now, it is the discretion of the welfare officer, the person in charge, to actually issue that emergency protection order. Unfortunately, this emergency protection order is only valid for 7 days. All right? Now, within this period of 7 days, you then apply for an interim protection order. All right? The emergency protection order is basically to protect a victim immediately. And what the welfare officer will do is give you an emergency protection order and have that order served on the perpetrator through the police. So the police will actually take that order issued by the welfare officer and serve it on the perpetrator to tell the perpetrator, don't go near the victim. You're not supposed to go near the victim. And if you do that, then the police will have you arrested, that kind of thing. Now, in the meantime, you can also apply to get an interim protection order. This interim protection order is given by the magistrate. You can apply for the interim protection order with the help of a magistrate, with the help of a lawyer or the JKM officer, the social welfare officer. Now, there are forms to be filled up. The forms are with the welfare officers. In the forms, this is very important again. The forms, you have to tell the officer, or your lawyer should inform the welfare officer what is the exact protection you need from the perpetrator. All right, now, then you go back to each case. You look at the background of the case. So if I was a lawyer, I would actually look at the needs of the victim. So for instance, in Ruth's case, she need not have run away. She could have stayed put. She could have told the husband to stay away if he was abusive, because she had infants as babies. She needed a place to stay. You cannot carry your babies and seek shelter with anybody. If you have no one to give you shelter, where do you go? So you have to look at each case.
Yeah. So, Vicky, if I may interrupt for a second. So when in Ruth's case, if she had she gone to the police and gotten the protection order, let's say it was an emergency protection order, then she would have come back home with the police, and the police would ask the husband to leave. Is that what would have happened?
That is possible now, not then.
I see.
This is under the new amendments. You see, now,
even
My
without,
time all lari saja, semua lari.
that time we did not have the provision to get the person out of the home.
Right.
We only have it now, after the amendments, where under the IPO, you can actually say, I want to stay put in my home.
Yeah.
I want the perpetrator to leave the house.
So this is even without the husband getting charged yet.
Yes, yes.
So who determines that the victim?
The magistrate.
So she would have she would have left the house for a couple of days to get the EPO.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Let's talk about the interim protection order. The EPO is only from the social welfare officer, right?
Okay.
But the terms, the order per se, as to what remedies you want, has to be specified in the forms with the JKM officer.
Right.
That's exactly my next question when it comes to order. What's protections that you need? So what sort of protection that can I get if I have this interim protection order?
Yeah.
I'm imagining, like, if I want to stay in the house, do I have a bodyguard or someone that, look after for me around the house?
There is no bodyguard per se, but yeah, that would be perfect. But the police are not going to be protecting you throughout 24 hours, okay? But in that order, it's a court order. Now, in that court order, you can actually tell the magistrate through the officer or through your lawyer that you cannot afford to move out. You want to stay put in your house. So you want the perpetrator of violence to be moved out. That means he cannot come back in. That is one. The second thing you can say is, you have to go to work. You don't want him to come and disturb you at work. So he cannot enter your work premises. You don't want him to go to the school to disturb the children or threaten. Many people threaten to take the children away too, to force you to come back. You know what I mean? So you must say that he should not go to the school to disturb the children or take the children away from you. Some of them actually kidnap the kids and use them as ransom and say, look, I've got the kids. I bet if you don't withdraw your police report, I'm keeping the kids away from you. They do things like that. These are real things that happen. So you have to look at each case and see exactly what kind of protection you need from the magistrate. And then you can also say that the person shouldn't come anywhere near me from 50 meters or more. I don't want to see him. I don't want any communication with him via social media. So I don't want him to call me or disturb me at my place of work or at home. All these things have to be specified in the orders. So in that way, you are free of that threat from that person. okay? But this is not the end all, because once you get the protection order, you still need to go to court, right? This is when you see a lawyer and you say, look, I need money for my children. He used to be the breadwinner. He used to pay me, but now he's out of the house, he's not going to pay me. So what do you do? So this is where you have to get your lawyer to file for maintenance. But that will be in the civil courts. So it's not a one-off thing, you understand? You have to, when you see a lawyer, the lawyer has to advise you as a package.
Yeah.
Everything that must be planned properly so that you do not regret your actions of lodging that police report. You understand?
Yeah.
That lodging that police report has a lot of repercussions. The fear that if the guy goes to jail, you are without money. The children are without a father, you know, and then you have second thoughts. Many women think that if I put the father in jail, what would my children think of me? This is a very real problem. But that person who is the perpetrator must understand that if he keeps on doing it, he has to be punished for it, unless he stops, right? So that putting him in the lockup or even arresting him, having him charged, are things that you do if he refuses to change. So sometimes when you make that police report, the police will call the person in and they will advise the perpetrator. They will tell the person, they say, if you can't continue with this, then it's going to go one step further. We are going to have you charged. So if they are afraid, they will back off. But if they are not afraid, they will come back. And if they threaten you some more, then you should take the next step.
Okay. So Ruth, in your experience, when you left the house and you went to WAO, Women's Aid Organization, and then you made a police report, right? I'm just wondering, because the law is a law. There are things you can do, but for the victim undergoing the experience, what did you do when after you've left and done the police report? Where did you stay? You know, I'm sure that things was, I mean, your life is upside down at that point. What do you do, right? Do you go back? Did you look for your family? Did you look for friends? Who helped you out? If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah. Actually, I messed up there, and after that, I regretted for actually doing what I did. So I have my godparents and my godparents' house to go. So I had an option. So what I did was I left WAO, the home, and I went to live with my godparents' house. And he found out that I was there, and the person who told him that I was there was my someone close to me as well. So you see, everybody wants me to go back, and the story that he has been, no one heard from me. I have not told anyone. I have not contacted anyone for years. So no, everybody thinks that I have already cut relationship with everyone. So when this happened, we lost Vicky.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost Vicky. She'll probably be back.
Yeah. When this happened, the first thing they did, I think, they went to my family place and my relatives to tell them that I actually ran away with a man.
Yeah. So they meaning your husband and his family?
Yeah, I don't know who, I'm not there, but I was told that they came to tell my family side that I ran away with a man, and I ran away with I don't know what else they said, but my whole family had a very wrong picture of the whole story, and they thought that I wanted money. Money was my thing, you know, so that he's not earning enough and stuff like that, and you know, it wasn't the money actually, you know. Money is not collector's item. Money can be earned, you see. Um, so when I left that place, okay, so he came searching for me. That I shouldn't have done that actually, because I wasn't strong. I wasn't strong. So when I went back to my godparents' house, he came there, and we reconciled. Um, we reconciled. We did not reconcile actually. I was still like not interested to go back. I wasn't sure. I was afraid. The biggest trauma is going back to the in-laws' house. That I don't want to. Being with him, I can consider, you know, because father's kids. I mean, kid's father, is it? So going back to his mom's place, I wasn't into it. So I told him no, because I told him a few things that he wasn't being a husband. He doesn't care. I was sick. He doesn't care of anything about me. So I was going on that thing with him, but then he apologized. He wanted to come back, but I said no. Then from there I went back to my parents' place. He came there too, because I know he loves the kids. You see, he wants to get back, and kids also loves him, you know. So they needed to be back together. So I saw that, and I said, yeah, it's okay. Let's go. Let's see how maybe he changes. Let's see, just give it a try. And things went even worse. We got back together, and in a few months he started back his stuff, not coming back, you know, having affairs again. And we started to fight, you know. I wouldn't say he's the only one fighting. I would say I fight as well. I shouted at him and told him, how can you just leave the kids? There's no milk. I breastfeed my second daughter, but when I'm depressed, you know, you don't get milk coming out from your breast. So I was in pain. I was not well. There's no money. There's no food, and he's going out partying and not coming back. So I was so upset. So when he comes back a few days later, I get so all worked up. There was one point of time, he locked me in a shop lots, where he was working as, I don't know what he was working. I always don't know what he's working as. He will never tell me. So he was working in this place, and he got the boss's office for us to stay. So when he left, he locked the grill, and we were in. I don't have a key. There's only one key, and he has the key. He locked the grill, locked the door, and he left. And me and the kids were in that place. It's like a lonely area, secluded lonely area. I don't even know places, and I never used to drive last time, you know. Bodoh a bit lah dulu. You see, so I don't know anything. Stuck in that house, and suddenly my daughter, my baby had fever, very high fever. I got panic. I said, where is this guy? Didn't come back. Waited, didn't come back. And there's no food, not enough food, you know. So I had cream crackers. I broke it into 4 pieces. I had that. I boiled the balanced porridge for my kids, and there's no milk. So I took the condensed milk and I mixed it with water, diluted, and gave it to my older one, still a baby, and my youngest one had fever. I just keep bathing him. I didn't know what to do. I was crying, and I was like, oh, why did I go back to him? Why did I do this? You know, he came back, I don't know, in 2 days' time, you know. So by that time, I'm already like, I need to leave this man. I can't live with this man. He might kill us all, you know. So this guy doesn't know how to raise family. He likes to go clubbing. He wants to go drinking. This guy people loves him. People buy drinks for him. He's a real party goer guy. Everybody knows him, you know. So he loves to party. He will wear perfume, dress up, and all that. I'll be like in the house alone. Okay. And he said, I'll come back. You know, I'll be looking after the kids, and he won't come back. he will disappear for a few days, you know. So I thought I had enough, and we fought, and then we made up again. And we fought again. We made up. It's like, you know, going around and round and round and round. One fine day, on his birthday, guess what? Our uncle wanted to go on party. So he left for party, didn't come back. Came back next day, you know. So came back next day. I started like, how can you do this? There's no food in the house. There's no milk in the house. There's nothing. You are partying away. How do you have money to buy alcohol and stuff like that? Petrol. You get the money to buy for petrol and all that. So we went on this argument, and you know, we fought, and then he took the kids, and he cabut lah. He put the two girls in the car, and he left me alone in the house. I looked, and I was helpless. I saw my kids going, and my girls were crying, you know, crying for me, don't want to go with him, crying, looking at me, and just, you know, calling me to come and save them. And I just looked. I had no reaction. I like, and I saw them just going away, you know. It's like that. 7 years. 7 years. I lost my kids. So I didn't see my kids for 7 years. So I really want all of you all to know. I'm sorry, I'm crying again. Stop dreaming. If he's terrible, go and make a, go and check. You don't have to tell him. You can check. You can go to the Bukit Aman, tell them this is the IC. Can I please check the record? You know, check. Go and check. Don't be gullible. Don't be stupid like me. You know, please. Enough already. This is. I have kids. Look at how I destroyed my kids' life. 7 years. You know. Anyway, I got them back. My kids are very happy with me. My husband, Peter Gerard Joseph is my husband. He's educating my girls. Love them like his own. My in-laws are lovely people, beautiful in-laws I have. Treat them like their own. Every year, gifts from everywhere around the world. So I'm very happy. God has been so good to me, seriously. And yeah, God is not dead. God is there. Please pray.
Yes, so thank you so much, Ruth. And from the perspective of a professional, a lawyer, family lawyer, what could have been done better, as in like to prevent that 7 years not seeing your kids, Vicky?
Yeah, that is one mistake that most women make. They go back. They go back hoping that things would be better, but it rarely changes. So once you take that step of taking an IPO or a protection order, you lodge a police report, do not withdraw the report under any circumstances, because the second time round, the perpetrator would know what to do. And they're not going to give you a second chance. So when you take that first step of lodging a police report and taking legal action, you must never withdraw that report. Especially if your allegations in your police report are true and you want to protect your family, don't withdraw that, okay? And then you have to package it with a civil case. That means you have to speak to your lawyers. You can even go to the legal aid if you have no money. You tell them that you need money from the husband. They can get money for you. Now The police and the JKM officer can even allow you to remain in the house where you are. You don't have to run away to seek shelter. Stay put where you are. Get the perpetrator out of the house. That is the most important thing. And once a person is out of the house, you make sure that he does not come back in to upset your family. And just remember that it is also bad for children to witness violence in the homes, all right? Because that is also very bad for children to witness it, because then that cycle continues. And under the Domestic Violence Act, although it is not a perfect act, the police will charge the perpetrator if they have sufficient evidence, and if you are willing to go through that process of prosecuting the perpetrator in court, of course he might lose his job. There's a risk that the perpetrator will lose the job. But if you are in a position to stand on your own feet without any financial help from the perpetrator, then by all means go through with it. You can always get money by working or getting maintenance or even selling your homes. You know what I mean? Getting money from his share under the divorce proceedings. There are other ways of financing yourself. So don't hesitate because you think you can't manage on your own. Many women have to take that first step. You must be courageous. You must be able to fend for yourself, stand on your own feet. Like I recall when Ruth came to me, she didn't even have a job, but she was set fast. She stayed on, she worked, found a job, worked, saved up the money to go to court, to get all the remedies in the civil court. And there are many women like Ruth who have actually had nothing. But because they had to survive and take care of their kids, they did it. And today, they are professionals in their own right. Because that hardship they went through pushed them to do things for themselves and also for the children. So if others can do it, so can we. You know what I mean? So do not for one moment think, I cannot do this because I am dependent on my husband. Do not think like that. Go out there. There are many organizations, many people who will help you find jobs, find a place to work. You get your independence, and you are also safe from physical violence, physical, emotional. Don't think that these are only for women who are not educated. I again say, there are many professionals out there who are also victims of violence. The reason why they do not go out to get protection is simply because of the stigma. They are afraid to even step into a police station. I know of many women who actually go to the police station, and then the thought of entering the police station makes them retract. They walk away. They're terrified. They are afraid to share their stories with their colleagues in the office because they are professionals. They feel that this is the demeanor, the face I have to give to my staff, doctors, lawyers. I know of a doctor who was punched and beaten and locked in her room and not even permitted to go to work, and had to take emergency leave because she cannot go to work because her husband has locked her in her own room, own house. So it is not only people who are not working, they are professional women, lawyers. Lawyers themselves are victims of domestic violence, mind you. So,
yeah, so in relation to that, what about man, the victim? So throughout your experience.
yeah, we also have many men who are victims of domestic violence because they are married to very aggressive women who are maybe not quite stable sometimes, and they get very emotional, they get violent, they throw things at their husbands. Some of these women, they even hurt themselves physically and then put the blame on the husbands. I've even come across that. They deliberately hurt themselves and they go to the police station and say that their husbands hurt them. So you will have the husbands having no choice but to go to the police station and say, look, this is the kind of woman I'm married to. Because you will have to get evidence of the woman constantly hurting herself, threatening to commit suicide, taking a knife to cut her wrists. You have all these things. And the man is afraid, so he keeps on giving in because he'll be blamed for what the woman does. So it's a different kind of violence in this case, where the woman wishes to inflict injury upon herself and then blame it on the husband. So we have cases like that. And in these cases, the children are victims too, because they are so emotionally unstable, and in that instability, they tend to even use it on the children. They tell the child, if you go to your daddy, I'll kill myself, or I will do something. So the men are forced to remain in that relationship for fear of the child getting influenced, because sometimes women get the custody and the fear that the child is going to be influenced, you know. But these are generally women who are very unstable, emotional, and you cannot rationalize with them. It is a very common, it's not so common, but it can happen, you know. And in these cases, you have to tread very carefully with such cases, and they need counseling.
Yeah.
So counseling is something that we ask for, a court order for parenting, counseling, to help the child, to help the family, things like that.
What is the how high is the success rate with counseling? I'm just curious. Does it help when people have unstable issues like that, like playing victim, wanting to get their own way?
Yeah.
How does counseling help? Does counseling help? I mean,
The sad thing is many people stop going for their counseling sessions.
mm-hmm.
After having gone for a couple, they stop going for sessions. That is why the problem perpetuates.
Right.
You know, initially they are all very gung-ho about going for it. They start, then it withers off. So after a month, they go once a month and then they slowly stop. And then the problem comes back into the marriage again. So this is the problem we have. So unless the relationship ends, the children are protected.
Yeah.
So the most important part here is really the EPO first, before you move on into the next.
No. You don't have to have an EPO.
Mm-hmm.
You go for an IPO. The EPO is only for extreme cases.
Extreme cases.
Yeah.
So
I have a question, Miss Vicky.
Yeah.
Okay, just say the victim is going to the police station to make a report, right? So how long will it take for the EPO? Is it EPO, emergency?
No. The EPO is not with the police.
Okay,
It's
it has to be
Social
filed.
welfare officer.
So what is the security between because when the victim decides to leave and make a police report with all the bruises, right? So where is the protection? Will the police stop that guy from, how does this work?
Okay, what happens is you go and lodge a police report. You can go with your lawyer. You can go with a friend or anyone. And once a police report is lodged, you can ask the police officer to refer you to the JKM officer.
Okay.
All right. The JKM officer will ask you to fill up the forms, which they have. And in that form is what you have to specify what are the remedies you are seeking under the IPO.
Right.
What do you need? Do you want to stay on in the house, or do you want to live with the children, or do you want him to stop coming anywhere near you?
Okay, there is a case which I'm handling now. There's a woman with kids. Husband is very abusive. She wants to leave, but she don't have money, no properties, nothing. I told her that you can stay in that house, but you know there's another wife involved as well. So where does she go then? So is the first wife entitled of the house? Does
Who
she?
is the legal wife, the first one?
The first one. Oh, no, the second one. The first one is divorced.
The second one is that means she's the victim,
She's the victim.
the second wife.
Second wife.
Is that her own home?
His home.
His home.
But she's paying for it.
Children?
Yes.
Her children.
Few.
So
Quite a few.
she can actually say she wants to stay in that home because she has no place to go, and she needs to stay there with the children, and that he should leave the house.
Okay. All right.
Is there any sort of like approval when you seek for certain remedies? So do we need to wait for some approval for it to take into place?
In the form with the officer, you fill it up, what exactly you need, and you have to justify to the welfare officer why these remedies are important for you. Especially if you're a mother with infant children, you have no other place to go to, and this is the only place you can stay. So you say, I need to stay here. I need him out. I don't want him to come and disturb me at my workplace. So you can add that in. You don't want him to communicate with you or with the children. You don't want him to go to the school to disturb the children. You can put all that in. So these are things that nobody tells the public. The lawyers are the ones who advise these people, but many of them do not get the advice of lawyers when they go to the police station. And the police reports are also not specific. So when the police report is not specific and you do not know what exactly you want, that's when the case just gets thrown away. And then you are left hanging. So this is very important for the public to know, that they have to be very specific in their police report, so that the police know you are serious about making sure the person is charged. Don't make general police reports. All right? You have to define when the incident took place, what exactly transpired, where it transpired. And another thing is, sometimes the police will even say, you don't make this report here, go somewhere else and make it. That's wrong. Because sometimes, when some women, they actually leave the home. They go to another state because they are seeking shelter, right? They may go home to their parents' place. They can even make their reports in that other place, another state. You don't have to come back to where you were. All right? Make your report wherever you are seeking shelter.
Actually, I have few experience where I have been helping these women, taking them to the hospital, doing medical reports, and it's a process, the whole day process, you know.
Yeah.
And making the report, police report after that. Some of them make police report first and then medical report, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, to tell you,
the medical
the hospital, they are very helpful. They are very helpful.
Yeah.
That's good.
So yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah.
So we have the scan teams in the university hospital, even in HKL. This is in the cities. But even if you go to any hospital, if you say that the child has been abused, or they will protect the child, they will bring the social welfare officer to the hospital to interview the child. they will protect the child from the perpetrator. Won't allow the perpetrator to come anywhere near the child. So all these things are actually in place.
Yeah.
But you must know how to go about it.
Yes. And recently I had a wonderful sergeant who handled one of the case. I tell you, I really was so overwhelmed. She offered herself to come and visit the family. Who would ever do that, you know?
But that is their role. That is their role.
They
In
will go
fact,
and ask neighbors, do some investigation. They're so good.
Actually,
Very
many of
good.
them are trained to do this. The police officers have been trained, some of them have been trained to actually give protection to families like this. So if they are part of this whole act, the police officers.
Yeah.
So they should also know their role. They need not be afraid. Their whole purpose is to protect families. So if you go to the right police station, the right people, you're okay. But unfortunately, it's not always the case, because many people don't know what they are supposed to do. So you could just go and make a general report. The police are not going to take you seriously. All right.
And you were saying before the show, Vicky, you were saying that the report, you kept saying that it's going to be very detailed, and then to the point, if possible, record it. Whether with a video recording or a sound
video
recording
of the violence, if you have, and give it as evidence to the police. And you must state in your police report, this is where it happened, the address of the place, where exactly in the home did it take place, in the living room, in the bedroom, in the kitchen. State so, the date of the offense, what exactly transpired, how the person threatened you, using what thing, a chair, a knife, anything, a hanger, a metal piece, because all these different things will allow the police to charge the person specifically. Using a weapon to hit, using, you got different charges. If a person just slaps, it's a simple case of causing hurt. But if you use a weapon, it's a different charge. So they use the penal code to charge the person. And when you go to the police station, your intention is to make sure the person is charged. Right? So that is so important.
Thank you so much for that. I think in the first session, we also stressed that the importance of recording your evidence. So I think we reiterate that again tonight. We are at the end of our 1 hour session. Thank you so much, Ms. Vicky and Madam Ruth, for the sharing. And to our audience, thank you so much for dropping by. I'm seeing quite a number of viewers tonight. And if you are watching this recording later and you would like to reach out to two of our guests tonight, you can actually PM them, private message them, or you can also private message me or Omar. We can then forward to Miss Vicky or Madam Ruth. All right, and Omar.
Yeah, once again, Ruth, it's been very moving hearing your stories, and I think a lot of women or a lot of domestic violence victims out there will find this, hopefully they find this session helpful, especially with the technicalities that Vicky shared with us. Yeah, so yes, I echo what Jack just said. Feel free to text us, and we'll relay you to the right parties involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yes.
I'll see
Bye.
you in the next session. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.